Volcanoes. Volcano. The Clickety-Tat Indians called it Fire Mountain, but for over 100 years, Washington's Mount St. Helens had done nothing but sleep. People vacationing at beautiful Spirit Lake could gaze up at the mountain's majestic snow-capped peak and think, how quiet and peaceful it is here. But in March 1980, the mountain grumbled and the earth trembled. Plumes of steam appeared above the peak, and the face of the mountain slowly began to change shape. Mount St. Helens wasn't just a mountain, it was a volcano. Earth's crust. But what is a volcano? 60 miles, 97 kilometers, beneath our feet lies a layer of hot, half-molten rock called the mantle. Enormous crustal plates, thousands of miles across, float like rafts on this ocean of soft stone. The plates fit together like the pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle. They push against one another or pull apart, moving so slowly that they might take 100 years or more to travel an inch. The seam between two crustal plates is called a fault line. When crustal plates pull apart or crash against one another, we can feel the earth shift beneath our feet. This movement is called an earth tremor or earthquake. In certain parts of the world, the movement of the crustal plates causes cracks to form deep underground all the way down to the mantle. Molten rock, called magma, fills the cracks, rising up through the crust toward the surface. A volcano forms when magma erupts onto the Earth's surface. Volcanoes all over Earth. Most volcanoes form at the edges of crustal plates. The volcanoes of Alaska, Japan, the Philippines, South America, and Mexico are all on the edge of the Pacific Ocean plate. This circle of active volcanoes is called the Ring of Fire. Mount St. Helens is one of those volcanoes. Mount St. Helens is located in the Cascade Mountains. The Cascades are the remains of old volcanoes that have been dormant or inactive for thousands of years. The last time Mount St. Helens had erupted was in 1857. Since then, all had been quiet in the Cascades until 1980. Volcanologists, scientists who study volcanoes, heard about the Earth's tremors near Mount St. Helens. They worried that the dormant volcano was getting ready to erupt again. Over the next few weeks, the rumbling grew louder. People who lived near the mountain were told to leave their homes. Different kinds. Volcanoes called shield volcanoes form when magma flows out onto the Earth's surface. These volcanoes build up slowly. Magma oozes up from below the Earth's crust and flows down the sides of the volcano. This river of molten rock is so hot that it burns up anything it touches. When magma flows out onto Earth's surface, it is called lava. A cinder cone volcano is created when lava erupts in the form of ash and cinders. In 1943, a farmer in Mexico was working in his field. Suddenly, the earth shook and a crack appeared in the ground. Smoke and ash billowed skyward. Sparks and glowing rocks flew into the air, setting nearby trees on fire. The next morning, a pile of ash and lava, 35 feet, 11 meters high, stood in the middle of his field, and it was still growing. A few days later, a cone-shaped volcano, almost 500 feet high, covered the surrounding fields. It was named Paricutin. Today, Paricutin is over 1,000 feet high. When the edge of one plate pushes over another, magma can be forced to the surface. The biggest volcanoes on Earth, called composite volcanoes, often form in these areas. Composite volcanoes aren't picky. They erupt with a combination of ash, smoke, molten lava, and huge chunks of stone, sometimes as big as houses. When they are active, composite volcanoes can be extremely dangerous. In the year 79 AD, Italy's Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum in ash and lava. More than 16,000 people died. 1980 eruption. Mount St. Helens is a composite volcano. Volcanologists feared that it would eventually erupt with deadly force, but no one expected the tremendous blast that shook the earth on May 18, 1980. After 4 weeks of tremors and small eruptions, Mount St. Helens exploded with a force as great as 500 atom bombs. 9 miles away, trees were flattened by the force of the blast. Forests were buried beneath 6 feet of ash. A gray cloud rose miles into the air, darkening the sky. 9 hours later, after the smoke cleared, Mount St. Helens was 1,000 feet shorter. The mountain had blown its top. Volcanoes are also found under the sea. Sometimes an undersea volcano will build up so much lava that it will form an island. The Hawaiian Islands were formed by a string of volcanoes. Some of these volcanoes are underwater and still growing. Many years from now, a new Hawaiian island will emerge from the sea. The loudest sound in history was caused when Krakatoa, a volcanic island in the Indian Ocean, exploded in 1883. The sound of the explosion was heard by people 2,000 miles away. The entire island of Krakatoa disappeared into the sea. Since then, a new volcanic cone has appeared, and the island is rebuilding itself. Helpful volcanoes. When a volcano like Mount St. Helens destroys forests and homes, we see it as a disaster. But good things come from volcanoes too. Volcanoes have been spewing gases, lava, and ash for billions of years. Volcanic gases formed Earth's first atmosphere long before life began on the planet. To this day, ash settles on the soil and makes crops grow more easily. And people are now using the power of volcanoes. In Iceland, where there are several active volcanoes, heat from lava beds is piped into homes to warm them in the winter. In the future, you might even be eating food cooked by volcano power. Maybe one day you'll be able to visit a real grumbling volcano. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is a perfect place to see and learn more about these awesome natural wonders. 2 volcanoes there, Kilauea and Mauna Loa, are very active. You might be lucky enough to see them erupt.